Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, New Hampshire congressional delegate speaks out against government shutdown. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
Aaron, all three lawmakers say that there's no doubt about it, this shutdown is continuing to impact Granite Staters, and both Pappas and Custer say it's actually having the opposite effect of what the president wishes. On the House floor, Congressman Pappas recounted the stories of hardship he heard back in New Hampshire from those who draw a government paycheck or depend on federal services. Similar tales from Representative Custer, who said that she is hearing from groups who deal with domestic violence that they may have to cut back on their services. While Senator Jeanne Shaheen referenced the impact the shutdown is having on air traffic controllers and said their families in particular seem to be hit hard, and says it seems the president is the only one who doesn't want the shutdown to end.
I urge President Trump, Majority Leader McConnell, and our Republican colleagues to take up these bills to reopen the government. I believe we should reopen the government. Let's do our job so that the rest of America can do theirs.
The president says this shutdown is necessary to protect the American people. Yet every story I hear in my district demonstrates this shutdown is making us less safe.
Air traffic controllers, TSA agents, DEA agents, and even, ironically, Border Patrol agents are not receiving their pay, and our safety is at risk.
Senator Maggie Hassan is scheduled to speak shortly. We'll have what she had to say later this evening, beginning on News 9 at 5. In the studio, Ray Brewer, WMUR.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Two U.S. service members, two U.S. civilians killed in ISIS-claimed attack in Syria. ISIS has claimed responsibility for a deadly explosion that killed two U.S. service members and two U.S. citizens in Syria city of Manbij on Wednesday. Sununu, Scott unveiled paid family leave plan in joint announcement. And let's take a listen to some of the video.
Be able to come out, and it's always an absolute honor to be with a great friend and colleague, Governor Phil Scott, who, again, both coming in 2016, both taking kind of the challenges of management of the state head on. He's been an absolute ideal partner for myself, for our staff, for the entire state. In so many ways, New Hampshire and Vermont are in the same boat together when you're talking about the economics, healthcare, a lot of the issues that we deal with. So to be here with Governor Scott is an absolute honor. Last year, in both New Hampshire and Vermont, proposals to establish a paid family and medical leave plan were brought forward, and unfortunately those plans were not ones that either Governor Scott or myself could support. In New Hampshire's case, the proposed plan administratively trapped people into an effective income tax, and two state agencies had to stand before our legislature and not be able to certify their solvency. The New Hampshire plan would have required $14 million in startup costs, $6.3 million.
Okay, and there you go on some of that video. If you want to watch the full video, we will have a link for you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. New Hampshire and Vermont governors rolled out a plan Wednesday for a voluntary 2-state paid family and medical leave program and allow private businesses and individuals to participate if they choose so. The plan, which would be merged by a private insurance rather than state agencies, was announced at a joint meeting of the Republican governors at brewery in the border town of Littleton, New Hampshire. The key to the program is the combined buying power of the 8,500 public employees in the two states, the governors said. If passed by legislators in the two states, the program would provide 60% of a person's wage for up to 6 weeks for a number of qualifying events, including the birth of a child or caring for a close relative who has serious health conditions. The two governors said they were unaware of any efforts by the state to work together to provide a social program to its citizens. But Democrat leaders in both states were not so quickly to embrace the concept. Vermont Senate President Pro Tim Ashe, a Democrat and progressive, declined to comment. The two states would cover the full cost of the program. Businesses with more than 20 employees and 100% employee participation would receive the state rate. It is expected that smaller businesses with fewer than 20 employees would pay slightly higher rates. The cost for businesses that do not have 100% employee participation would pay premiums. Individuals whose employees does not offer a paid family leave plan would have the option of purchasing coverage. Sununu said that since private insurance would be used rather than state agencies, it would be set up quicker. Scott said the estimated cost to Vermont would be about $2.5 million per year, which would be paid by the state. Providing paid family leave to workers in both states has been a continuous issue. Last year, Vermont legislation passed a bill which Scott vetoed because it would have been paid for with tax that would have been deducted for workers' paychecks. In his inaugural address, Scott said he was working on a voluntary paid family leave program. In New Hampshire, the Republican-led House last year passed a bill to provide up to 12 weeks of paid time off, but the bill died in the Senate after Sununu opposed it. Though he urged it was financially unsuitable, he didn't offer a plan on his own at the time and was criticized during his re-election campaign for reaffirming to such leave as a vacation. The idea was convinced by New Hampshire officials who then presented it to their Vermont counterpartners. Resources for those in New Hampshire affected by government shutdown. As the longest government shutdown in U.S. history drags on, many Granite Staters continue to feel effects. Since December 22nd, some non-essential federal employees have been furloughed, but essential employees are required to work. More than 2,000 Granite State workers, including Transportation Security Administration employees, air traffic controllers, U.S. Coast Guard members, and federal prison employees, are directly affected as paychecks from the federal government have stopped coming. Many local banks, restaurants, and other businesses are offering to help those workers until the government reopens. And let's take a look at those businesses. Northeast Credit Union, Service Credit Union, AT&T and DirecTV, British Beer Company, Southern New Hampshire University, The Friendly Toast, New Hampshire Tories Inc., Batteries and Bulbs in Concord, Airbnb, Serpage Flooring Coverage, and other effects. Federal Food Assistant Programs and college students in Manchester's MITA system. Those are other links you can read as well. We will be sure to share this link with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Wednesday evening. And here's a look at your U.S. stock market for this Wednesday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the green and went up. Your Nasdaq closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 closed in the green and went up. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the red and went down. US 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VX closed in the green and went up. Dow gains more than 100 points as Goldman posts best day in 10 years. Stocks rose on Wednesday as investors cheered strong quarterly earnings from major banks like Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. Trump meets with coalition of Democrats and Republicans as shutdown drags on. A bipartisan coalition of lawmakers from the House Problem Solves Caucus sat down with President Trump at the White House Wednesday as the president continued to demand funding to build a southern border wall as a condition of ending the partial government shutdown, now in its 26th day. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great evening, everyone, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.